Right, this morning, we're going to hear from Tom Bailey. Give us a wave, Tom, who is just fresh off from a show last night at in Edinburgh at the Travis, I think you said, Tom. Um, and it's basically a film of the show that Tom is doing. I hope I've got that right. Vigil is showing at the Alhambra in Keswick next week on the 23rd of February. And so Tom is going to tell us a bit about that. And we're also going to watch a short trailer of what's a fascinating looking film. So we're going to have a look at that first up. Then we're going to hear from the lovely Karen Jones, who has been at the place that does art at the University of Cumbria, which had about 10 different names over the last 60 years. She's been there remarkably. She only looks about 21, 22, doesn't she? She's been there for almost half of the existence. It I've now worked out. So she's going to tell us a bit about the history of that place and all the stuff that's gone on there, and what a vibrant part of the Cumbrian kind of artistic infrastructure it is for us all. So some lovely pictures and slides to look at there. There might be some people on this call that have been through that place. I don't know, but on Brampton Road. But anyway, we're going to hear about that, and then we're also going to hear about the Maryport Literary Festival that's taking place the first weekend in March. March the 1st, I think, is when it kicks off, and it's the start of a 3-month project taking place on the West Coast, particularly around Maryport. And Jane Lasky is going to tell us about that. And Adam, who's also on the call, just come back from Canada, is also helping to support that as well. So we're going to hear about those 3 different projects this morning, as well as people continue to chip in probably about what they've seen great that's good recently that Marvin can find out about as well. That is the plan. I hope it all sticks together. Let's cross to Edinburgh and to Tom Bailey. Tom, you're very welcome. Tom actually lives in Borrowdale as well, so there's a lovely Cumbrian connection. But Tom, tell us who you are, what you do. Then perhaps you might want to say when we go to the clip to show the little trailer for the film, and then we'll perhaps have a bit more off the back, and then any questions.
Sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for having me on the call, Tom, and good to meet you all. My name is also Tom, and I'm a theatre maker, and I'm from Bristol. And yeah, I am currently on tour with a show called Vigil, which next Friday is coming to the Alhambra cinema in Keswick. And just to be clear, so it's a theatre show that uses quite a lot of projection. And so at the Alhambra, which I guess is usually a cinema, I'm kind of performing live in front of a screen. So it's kind of like experimental, like yeah, cinema performance thing. So kind of yeah, what's that work and what do I do? So I'm very passionate about nature, climate change, the Anthropocene, things like that. And I guess I have a company, Mechanimal, and the focus of that company is to kind of explore themes to do with yeah our changing planet and the human relationship with kind of non-human species, things like that. So the show that I'm currently working with and is going to the Alhambra is called Vigil, and that is that's a piece that explores. I don't know if anyone's come across the IUCN Red List of extinct and endangered species. So there's this big kind of 48,000 long list of extinct and endangered species, sort of compiled by a kind of global network of scientists. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of make a show that kind of explores that list, but to try and do it in an interesting and fun and not necessarily sad way. So the more I looked at the list and discovered these kind of species names and animal names, the more I realized there was quite an amazing like array of like names out there of strange species, like a Darth Vader giant pill millipede and a cinnamon colored cryptic tree hunter, things like that. So I kind of felt there was a kind of like a poetic, almost like a poetic journey through some of these names that could have been made into a show. So that's what I did basically, and kind of made a kind of tragicomic, half clown, half kind of like poetic show that is kind of exploring this list and what kind of extinction means today and our relationship with species. And I guess, you know, it's my kind of style of theatre is kind of clowny and physical. I trained in kind of like physical theatre. So I work a lot with projection design and also sound design, creative technology, that kind of thing as well. So it's kind of a devised show. It's just an hour long, and it's coming to the Alhambra, which is maybe strikes I don't know, like local Cumbrians as a bit of strange programming. There is a little story behind it, you know, like so maybe I'll just jump to that, and then maybe Tom, you could show the little clip, which is the clip that Tom's going to show is a little kind of promo trailer for our show. It's just a minute long, but I was performing that show in December at what's called Flynn's Barn. I don't know if anyone has come across Flynn's Barn, but it is a place up in Borrowdale, near Seatoller. It's a kind of converted farmhouse and barn, recently converted, like during the pandemic, and it's a retreat and residential center for young people going through cancer treatment. And I guess since 2021, I've been doing more and more kind of like creative workshops there. And now that's kind of become a base for me when I'm not kind of away on a project. So I was kind of like performing the show there, and then someone came from the Alhambra and said, "Do you want to do it in the Alhambra in February?" So that's kind of how that show came about. So I'm kind of performing a live show in a cinema about extinct species, which is also quite a fun show. Next Friday, come along. It'd be great to see some of you. And without further ado, I think it's maybe time for the little promo. So thank you for
What a
sharing that,
great
Tom.
promo. Yeah.
So that's kind of that. And yeah, massive apologies. I've a bit of like Zoom scheduling. I've got to jump off the call at 10 o'clock. But yeah, really sorry about that. But I guess happy to chat a bit further about it if it's helpful or
Did you, so
things.
you've written it as well, Tom?
Yeah, I kind of devise work. So it's kind of basically devising is just people in a room with no script. You just have go from an idea and you develop a show through improvising and improvising, rather than like yeah coming to it with a kind of writer and a script.
Yeah.
So that's generally how I develop work.
So at the Alhambra, it'll be you on stage,
Yeah,
and clever, if I can use it, trying to think of a better word, projections going on around you, behind you, to the side of you.
basically yeah. Just on behind me on the kind of the rear screen. I guess a lot of work that I make works with a projection mapping studio, Limbic Cinema, and
If I could
yeah,
just pipe in, I think it comes under multimedia theatre. But
Multimedia theatre.
Tom,
Thank you,
they're
Nicola.
amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm on your website now, and I
oh
will be
cool.
sending you an email because there's loads of synergy and people I need to introduce you to.
Oh, cool.
Uh,
That'd be great.
keep fighting the good fight, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Service.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the theme that you're exploring there, Tom, is that something that you regularly explore in your work?
Yeah, I guess yeah, sort of climate is a massive topic, and there are so many kind of different ways into it. And generally, my kind of USP, or kind of what I do, is trying to find different ways of approaching quite a difficult topic. I mean, generally, climate change and comes to us in kind of scary media stories, lots of data. It's a very data orientated thing, and I think I'm trying to find different narratives about what's going on right now through performance and the work of art, and how that can kind of offer different perspectives on kind of the changes that are going on the planet right now. And so species is a kind of one area of interest for me at the moment. Like I made a show about bird migration, focusing on like a marsh warbler back in 2018. I found it was actually quite fun to just be animals on stage and just kind of clown around being an animal. And then I kind of thought, well, rather than be one animal, I could try and do like 26,000 in the space of an hour, which is what Vigil is, basically a guy trying to get through the entire list in the space of an hour. And then two geologists came to see that show and they quite liked it. So they said, do you want to make a show about rocks? And this was, I guess, during the pandemic. And so I ended up making a show about copper mining and the relationship between mining technology and climate change. And that's a kind of show and a multimedia installation thing. And I guess, just to finish off on the story about Vigil, I came back to tour the show after the pandemic and looked at the list again, and I realized that list of extinct species, because the show was made in 2019. In 2019, the list was 26,000 long, and now it's 48,000 long. So just in that time of the pandemic, the list has almost doubled in size. So you're making a sequel of the show, this time called the slightly funny, clowny title of Crap at Animals, which is going to be touring from the summer onwards. Yeah.
Okay, so again, going from 26 to 48, I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
So have you got to do a load more bits of animal acting as a result?
Basically, yeah. It's kind of trawling the script and finding trawling the list and finding lots of different interesting species names, and then playing around with them more, and then finding a way to kind of sort of develop a show in outdoor context, so maybe more kind of like in nature spaces rather than inside a theatre studio.
Tom, can I just quickly say, Theatre by the Lake, just recently we did a staff training session on carbon literacy, and we did a lot of work with an organisation in Cumbria called Zero Carbon Cumbria. So other Tom, if you've not got in touch with them yet, get in touch, because they've got a really active social media platform. And I know Carol at the theatre is really good at sharing events that are on, but Zero Carbon Cumbria would be a really good group to let them know about Vigil, because it's the sort of thing that we spent a whole day on training on exactly what you're talking about. So I think they'd be really interested in sharing. I've popped it in the chat.
Thanks so much. That's great.
Yeah, so Rachel works at Theatre by the Lake in Keswick.
Sorry, I should have said that.
No, I think you might have mentioned it, Rachel, but I just thought I'd repeat it. Great cultural institution in this part of the world. So that's a really helpful tip, Rachel. Thank you very much indeed. I can't remember the name of the woman who leads Zero Carbon Cumbria, but she's been on this call before.
Yeah, I can't either now. I've said that, so I'll check and let you know.
Oh, yeah, look, there's lots of other people that were there too. Imogen.
Hello. Yes, I agree that CAPS would be really interested. I think that's just their cup of tea. But I was going to ask, is there any chance it's showing anywhere else? Because I'd love to see it, and unfortunately, I'm busy.
Yeah, and not any plans for I guess we're doing Liverpool and Edinburgh, and then the Alhambra in Feb, and then no plans as of yet. But maybe that sequel will be coming to Borrowdale around kind of May time. But yeah, soz. It's a short February tour, but yeah.
Thank you, Imogen. Well, Tom, thank you so much for sharing that with us this morning. The trailer is beautiful, I think, and it sounds like a fantastic show as well. So thank you for bringing it to Cumbria, bringing it to Keswick. and I hope it continues to go in other places as well. And the new show sounds ambitious too, with a cracking title.
Yeah,
So
thanks so much, guys.
yeah,
I
stay in
really
touch with the
appreciate it.
network, particularly if you've got a Borrowdale base, Tom. Your sort of work is absolutely what this network is about, and let alone the theme of what your work is about. So please stay in touch, and we'll see what else we can do.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much for having me on the call, and yeah, really lovely to meet you all. And yeah, as I say, I've got a Borrowdale base now, so hopefully be interacting with the network and you guys much more. So look forward to staying in
Great.
touch.
Nice one.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Take care. Thank you.
Right, let's move from Borrowdale, Keswick, Edinburgh to Carlisle, to the Brampton Road campus, which has had many names and many guises and has produced some amazing people. Karen Jones is, I think you're the business manager, is that right, Karen? For a long title bit of the University of Cumbria, and has done some fantastic work into the social history of the building and what part it has played in the cultural history of Carlisle, but also beyond Carlisle as well. So Karen's put together some beautiful slides, which we're now going to share with you and hear a little bit about the history and the exhibition that's accompanying it for 60 years for the arts building in Carlisle. Karen, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tom. So yes, I've put together some slides. And yeah, gosh, when you said that, it was a bit harsh, Tom. I have been here half the length of time, literally,
Harsh man.
that we've been on Brampton Road. So I've, my title is literally, you mean the Art College, don't you? Because that's what everybody remembers it as. So this is a look back at the history and the development of the Brampton Road campus in Carlisle, its buildings, its courses, and most importantly, its people over the last 6 decades. Imposter syndrome, I'm neither a historian nor an academic researcher. It's purely an area of interest and a piece of social history. But it's a history that goes back actually 200 years, when in 1822, a Society for the Encouragement of Fine Art was formed in Carlisle. And a lot of that was documented up until 1950 in the book by Dennis Perriam called Tully House, Carlisle's First Learning Centre, that was published in 2016. So fast forward to 1950, next slide please, Tom. The Carlisle School of Art moved to the Homemakers building on the 11-acre site at Brampton Road. It was formerly the home of Jonathan Dodgson Carr, and then more latterly, the Chance family. The Chance family had Ferguson printers down Denton Home. But in 1950, it was claimed by the Carlisle School of Art, by the then Education Authority, under a compulsory purchase order. Next slide, please. But by 1968, Carlisle City Council leased Stanwix House to the college, where they launched the School of Extramural Studies. And we had Stanwix House on a 5-year renewable lease from 1968 to 2018. And for those of you that know the area, it's currently up for sale. Price upon application. We've tried quite a few ways to say, well, how much is it on the market for? But that had extramural short courses, and then there was graphic design, and then we moved all the performing arts provision over there. But sadly, that's another building that we no longer have. But then in the late 80s, the former elementary school in Colgergate was acquired and became the Centre for the Development of Fine Art Courses, where it remained until about 2005. And again, now that's been demolished and is now housing. Next slide, please. But by the 1950s, outbuildings on the Brampton Road campus, which formerly had been the Stanwix Reformatory School for boys, were converted into wood and metalwork, ceramics and print workshops. And it's a listed building, and it's fascinating actually to see that now we do printmaking, and you can see the original stained glass windows. And I think that side of it was the chapel for the reformatory school. So next slide, please. But in 1959, the city approved plans for the expansion of the College of Art with a new building. And the new campus was to be built in 2 stages, with the buildings based around an internal courtyard. Phase 1 was opened by the President of the Royal Academy of Arts, Sir Charles Wheeler, at a ceremony in October 1963. Phase 2 was opened in 1967 by the then Minister for Education and Science, Shirley Williams. Next slide, please. So in 1984, the college installed 12 demountable buildings to house the expansion of student numbers. And these were sited on the land behind the Homemakers building, which you can just see to the left of the photograph. That's now a car park. But it's worth remembering that the campus, we're built across the Vallum of Hadrian's Wall. So every time we want to do anything, we need to do an archaeological dig prior to any building development. So yes, we've got all this lovely green space, but we can't actually build on it. In 1995, the halls of residence provided 113 study bedrooms, and that's the L-shaped buildings on the right of the photograph, but it's the site of a former Roman parade ground. In 1997, we obtained funding for major capital works to accommodate by then over 1,000 undergraduate and postgraduate students. So that rectangular courtyard in the centre was filled in, and the other picture is what it is now is our graphic design studio. Initially, it was built as a library development, and that opened in January of the new millennium as phase 1 of 3 years. It included that library, and together with some of the best digital media facilities in the county. And it was all supported by a high-speed computer network, which gave internet access to all students and staff for the first time. That was only 23 years ago. It's shocking. Next slide, please. In the late 1950s, courses included certificates of art and craft, a national diploma in design, and a 2-year course for students wishing to enter a school of architecture. In the 1960s, a pre-diploma course was introduced. But by the late 1970s, it was a period of austerity in education. Enrolments fell and part-time students outnumbered full-time, causing financial imbalances at the college. I think there's obviously financial imbalances in the design of our prospectuses over those 30 years because they're all very bland. But interesting, it shows the changes of type and typography over the years. In September 1979, Peter Harmon took up post as vice principal. And in a quote from Joyce Rushton, who was the lecturer in textiles at the time, she said of Peter's arrival, "At last, someone took my concerns seriously, and after a good deal of negotiation, a substantial increase in funding from the textile department was made, and this enabled the facilities to be upgraded. That investment ultimately led to the formation of the Design Crafts course, later to become Contemporary Applied Arts, which was one of the pivotal programmes in the country." Next slide, please. An agreement was made with the University of Central Lancashire for the development of higher education in Cumbria, with the first course being a diploma in higher education in fine art in the early 1990s. By 1993, we'd increased our higher education work to a level where it was over 50% of enrolments. That enabled us to apply to transfer to higher education status. And in 1997, we became a specialist higher education institution. A new school structure was introduced, and new degree courses in journalism, editorial photography, and media production were validated. And the following year, a degree course in performing arts began. Next slide, please. In 1985, staff members established links with industry to provide a computer typesetting network, and a set of BBC Model B computers were purchased. And it's amazing how technology has changed. At the same time, the creation of the TV and video unit promoted engagement with schools and the introduction of video editing with a £50,000 grant for mobile TV facilities. A partnership with Border Television helped with the acquisition of equipment. Industry links were strengthened through the work of our production unit. Staff members ran courses for the staff at Cumberland News, and in return they printed the college newspaper. The designers used a range of computer programs, as seen here on the at the advert at the bottom, and these were all offered as short courses to the general public. we always remember trying to get through Quark Express and Illustrator, when you think now everything is your Adobe Design and InDesign. Next slide, please. Early in 2002, we established Research and Creative Enterprise Services, where we got funding from the government it was higher education, reach out to business and community. And we were able to put together staff and students as teams to fulfill briefs for corporate clients as their first venture into the world of work. Projects included, at the time, we used to do designs of school prospectuses and academic publications. We did filming of the Solway coast over 4 seasons. South Tyndale Railway got funds to strip down and rebuild a World War I steam locomotive. We produced the video at the time of that, of the making of the refurbishment. And we did a series of programmes demonstrating the community of hound trailing within Cleator Moor in West Cumbria. Next slide, please. Over the years, there's been many innovative marketing campaigns. Our styles of prospectuses changed to be more representative of people. Some of you may remember seeing some of these items, or even possessing some of those items. The little the pencils, they were attached to a Christmas card in 1996, and it was Have a Creative Christmas. The tea bags, we had a sponsorship deal where we would send a tea bag with every prospectus. So it was sit down and have a cup of tea and read our prospectus. We also did one around mobile phones with orange phones, and it was the future is bright, the future is orange, but it was the future is being at the art college, I must say. And actually the Guardian newspaper picked that up as a cartoon at the time. So next slide, please. The college, we held our first award ceremony in Carlisle Cathedral in November 1994. And in 2002, we introduced the title of an honorary fellow, with former Principal Adrian Turner and Vice Principal Peter Harmon receiving the first awards. In following years, the title was awarded to Eric Robson, Eric Wallace of Border Television, Conrad Atkinson, Sue and John Fox of Welfare State International, and Mary Burkett, Abbott Hall and former art teacher at Charlotte Mason. Next slide, please. And we've recently been given a series of photographs that were taken in 1978. So I think what I'm loving as part of this social history is new images are always coming to light. And here are just a few. And what was really nice is the names of the people were written on the back of the photographs. And I think that's really what brings it to life. I love the fact, when I see, academics on campus now, to be thinking that they'll be wearing their, waistcoats and tweed jackets and shirt and tie as standard, would totally go against the norm. But I just thought it was just a really interesting and lovely set of photographs. Next slide, please. The college has had several characters amongst its staff over the years, and these individuals have all helped to shape the vibrancy of the campus and install a sense of pride and place. Jack Seabury, he attended the Royal College of Art and he taught at the Carlisle College of Art from 1956 until his retirement in 1985. Colin Allen, he was born in Cardiff and attended the Royal College of Art from 1949 to 1952. He moved to Carlisle in 1953 and was a member of teaching staff for 28 years. And in the exhibition that we have at the moment, we've got a piece of work from Colin Allen and also his wife, Sadie Allen, because she used to teach textiles on our summer schools. Next slide, please. Jeff arrived in Carlisle in 1961 and he lived in a council house in Kingstown. When he and his wife, Cynthia, took possession, it had just been decorated by the housing department. As the housing department said, the previous occupant had painted murals on most of the walls. That previous tenant turned out to be John Bratby, who went on to become one of the leading kitchen sink school of artists. And it was magnolia'd over. There are many stories about Roy May. Now, Roy's fourth from the left on the back row of this photograph. Many stories about Roy as an academic and a creative, and he'll always be remembered for his ability to create a community. And he was integral to the establishment of the cricket team, the darts team, and as an avid fell walker and mountain climber, he would often take students out into the Lake District on expedition. Next slide, please. So 6 decades of leadership. All great organisations need great leaders, and the Art College has been fortunate to benefit from a few visionaries over that time. Alan Tennant-Moon was here between 1957 and 1979. When we moved up here in 1951, it was Harold Shelton. And then I managed to get a photograph quite a few years ago of 3 of them together. But Adrian Turner and Vice Principal Peter Harmon, they were pivotal to the developments of the 80s and 90s. And it was their corporate vision, their ability to deal with constant change, investment in the quality of teaching and learning, together with robust financial controls. They took Brampton Road from a small FE college to a vital, high quality higher education institution with the resources and staffing to match. Next slide, please. So what is in a name? As we've been a few names over the years. But in 2005, the Harris Report published proposals for a new university in Cumbria. And on the 1st of August 2007, a new chapter of the Art College began with the establishment of the Faculty of Arts in the University of Cumbria. There's been name changes and our curriculum offer. We've had to adapt significantly to reflect change in markets and technological advancements, but the aims have remained the same as when it started. We've created a community, a place of belonging and courses that are designed to take students to their creative limits, enabling them to graduate with confidence, experience and skills that are sought after by employers in an exciting industry. Graduates of today will be entering careers that didn't exist 20 years ago, let alone 60 years ago. And the University of Cumbria is that legacy to all of those talented people over the years. Next slide, please. We all talk about a sense of place and a sense of community. And this is the same image, the first one taken in 1955 and the last one taken in 2015. The same wall at the back of the Homemakers building here on campus. And if walls could tell stories, what tales they would tell. On the top left photograph, the gentleman sitting with his back seemingly is Harold Shelton. I've never been able to find another photograph of him as yet. And despite a few call outs, we've been trying to find those 3 ladies that are sitting on the wall there in the 1960s. So next slide, please. So thank you for listening and for ensuring that our celebration of the past, it's informed our present and it will encourage the future of arts education in the city. So thank you. Any questions?
That was fantastic. That was fantastic. What's been the most interesting bit of research that you've enjoyed the most in digging all these images and facts out?
I think it's a lot of actually the stories of the individuals. At the moment, we've got a former staff exhibition. We are looking at having an alumni exhibition. And it was interesting that I had contact this week. So why haven't we mentioned Percy Kelly? You know, why haven't we mentioned, Donald Wilkinson, Sheila Fell? There's so many stories to capture. And it's really encouraging to see people that have had an education at the University of Cumbria or the Art College. There used to be, many years ago, they used to say that if you said Art College, you'd have to put £5 in the swear box. But then there was also a similar story that if you saw the last principal on campus, you could go to the registrar and claim your £5 because you've seen him on campus. And it's those little anecdotes, it's those stories that really present the community that that is here.
And speaking of community, what proportion of students now today are kind of local students from Cumbria, and what proportion are sort of from beyond Cumbria?
We're probably around 60-40. There's been times of Cumbrian students, and I think that's with fees and being able to travel in from rather than having to look for accommodation. We've got quite a few Icelandic students at the moment. We've had some good connections. We've got a wildlife media student who's from South Africa at the on campus at the moment. One's from the Isle of Man. So, and it's really interesting that it gives such a diverse mix of the student population.
Yeah. Amy's saying, love to see all the logo designs and perspective designs. She likes the minimal 6971. Yeah, I noticed that. It's very just like the words on the page. Phil obviously had a good time there. Great to celebrate the Art College. Had a great time as a student there. Wonderful creative hub full of wacky and inspiring tutors and courses. And Derek says, thank you for a great account. Sue says, the last slide, I think, had details of the current exhibition celebrating the anniversary at Valham Gallery. Could you put that up again? Or could you let us know what the details are, Karen, maybe?
Oh, yes, certainly. I'll put those into the chat, yes.
Great.
It's open till the 15th of March.
Okay. And is it all in rude health, Karen? These are tough times for lots of different bits of life at the moment, but is it in rude health?
We're doing all right. Student recruitment is low at the moment. Could always do better, and we've had to adapt our course programs accordingly. We'd love to still be running performing arts and musical theatre. Sadly, student numbers have been in decline, but they have nationally. So we've had to take away that provision. But then there's the growth of the more digital media. We're bringing on stream advertising, AX programs, more on like games design. So there's growth in other areas, but we're very keen to retain, even if it's a reduced provision, of those going back to the crafts. So within our fine art programs and creative practice, you can actually still do ceramics, textiles, woodwork and metalwork, albeit it's not a standalone program anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear that it's okay. Thank you so much for sharing all your clear enthusiasm, passion, but hard work that has gone into putting all this together. It's been really interesting, and whenever I drive past Brampton, where I've been in there a few times, you always think, oh, this place has been here for a while. I can't remember. I don't really know much about it. I know a lot more about it now. That exhibition open through till March, and thank you for sharing it, Karen, with us all. I think that's been really interesting, and long may it continue for another 60 years.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's just shoot across from Carlisle now. I love it when we go geographically across the county. We're going to go to Maryport now, and we're going to hear from Jane Lasky, who helps run the Sen House Museum. I think I'm right in saying, Jane, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm the museum manager at the museum.
Okay, great. Well, it's lovely to have you with us. And you're just going to share a few reflections on what's coming up with the Literary Festival and a few other bits beyond. And I know we've got the PDF of the flyer that we can share on screen as well. But Jane, off you go. Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, I think I'm joined on the call with by Nigel Monkton, who is one of our wonderful volunteers.
There he is.
Yeah, he's been working really hard on the festival as well. Right, so the festival is in its 15th year. We started literally on the back of an envelope in 2008, and it's officially our 15th this year. But we've expanded it significantly. So it's not just happening at the museum; it's also happening in the town centre, but also along the Solway coast as well. It's supported by a grant from the Arts Council, and we're also working in collaboration with the Maryport Arts and Heritage Partnership to deliver the programme actually in the town centre. And one of the real differences that we made this year was through all the sterling efforts of Nigel, is that we've expanded our social media marketing significantly this year. I mean, from practically zero to what we've been doing, and I feel that that's sort of got the message out more than we have in previous years. The theme this year is Life on the Edge in all its variety, and we've got some wonderful speakers talking about the environment, talking about trees, lots of trees. It's launched on Friday by get her name right, Catherine Moorhead, who will be talking about her new biography about Doug Scott, who definitely lived life on the edge. The Saturday is mainly environment, and the Sunday is more, we've got more variety of poetry and a couple of novels. But what we think is different about the Maryport Arts and Literature Festival is that it happens in the museum, and it happens in a relatively small space. It's very intimate, and people have an opportunity to mill about and talk and discuss things, and it's very free flowing. It's really interesting, the direction that the conversations take over the weekend. Just need to mention our creative guru, Angela Locke, who is absolutely brilliant at recruiting speakers and developing the program with us, so that we always have a theme every year, and it's interesting the direction that those themes take. So happy to, if anybody wants to ask any questions, happy to.
Is it well supported locally, Jane?
Yes, sorry?
Is it well supported locally?
It is. I mean, obviously, we would like to. We always have capacity to take more people. We've gradually been getting the word out there over the years about the festival. But yes, locally, very well supported locally. But we also do have people travel into the area as well, and stay for the weekend. They make a weekend of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Come to you in a second, Nigel. It's amazing how. So I noticed the Chinese Film Festival that took place in Keswick a couple of weeks ago. You know, it pulled in about 200 people for the weekend to Keswick who wouldn't normally come to Keswick, and it's amazing how, you know, well, not amazing. That's a story to tell when you're trying to get funding and, you know, support from local authorities, etc., to say we really enhance the local environment and cafes and shops and hotels and restaurants. Blah 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 blah. Nigel, did you want to chip in your reflections as well?
I was just going to add a bit of emphasis to the intimate nature of the thing. I mean, Jane would not mind me saying that the museum is not the largest building in the world. It's certainly not the British Museum. We don't have their kinds of spaces. So the actual area where the speakers are and the audience sit is relatively compact, and between the presentations, the opportunity to milling around and talking with people about things that in normal life I'd probably never have talked about with anybody was absolutely fantastic, truthfully, and the sheer variety of speakers. I mean, I got involved for the first time last year, just helping out a little bit with the photography, because that's my real passion. But just being there and getting a chat with complete random strangers about stuff I would never normally discuss was absolutely fascinating, I thought, and I was just glad to get involved again, and glad that I could contribute something useful.
Yeah, I think it feels to me like Maryport's on you know, hasn't the curry house just won an award for the best curry house in North of England or something as well, the tandoori? I was there a few weeks ago.
That's what should have got them to do the catering, Jane.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be up for that. I mean, they are a brilliant curry house. They're lovely.
Yeah.
Ali and his team are great. If you want a decent curry, come to Maryport.
Absolutely, I can give you a second source on that. And
Jane has also omitted to mention that the entry fee to the literature festival also allows you to get to look around the museum at any time you like, and you know, you can knock off museums of history like this as that they're a load of old stones, but if you take the bother to actually look at the exhibits and think what they represent, it is an absolutely fascinating place.
Right. Well, the Shipping Brow Galleries, you know, obviously recently opened as well, and they've been on this call a couple of times, and they're doing great stuff there, I think, as well. So I don't know anybody else is in Maryport who's on the call this morning, but it's just down the road for me to get there, and I always enjoy a trip there when I go down there, curry or no curry.
Shipping Brow, they're actually hosting us a poetry reading session
Okay.
on the Thursday evening before our main weekend. So it's again another small intimate venue, but it's it's brilliant. I love the shipping gallery. It's a real asset to Maryport.
Great colour, bright blue on the corner there. Thank you very much, Jane and Nigel, for sharing that amongst us. So March the 1st to the 3rd is the sort of literary festival, but there's events going on, I know, beyond that as well, in other parts of that northwestern coast part of Cumbria as well. So good luck with it all, and well done on all the hard work and sweat and blood and tears and whatever that no doubt have gone into pulling it all together. Fantastic stuff. Right. I just want to say that I'm Sue Gill and John Fox were mentioned by Karen on her in her talk about the Institute of the Arts. So for those of you who don't know, Sue and John set up Welfare State International, now live in Ulverston. And I'm about to head off and go and meet them. I'm actually going to go and record an interview with them this morning because they've written a book. If I just unblur my thing, hang on, let's see, hold, there we go. There we go. They've written this book. Does that come out backwards, or does that read backwards or forwards? Anyway, it's called 80 Something, A Lifetime of Conversation. It's got a lovely picture of a hand that John drew on its cover. So it's just loads of lovely bits and bobs from their life that is fascinating to look at. And I'm going to go and chat to them, and it'll make an episode for the podcast for next month. So if you don't know Sue, and I've never met Sue or John physically face to face before, I'm looking forward to that. Sue said she's going to cook some soup for me as well, which is going to be nice. And that'll make a nice interview for the podcast for next month. So look out for that if that's your thing. Amy says, can it mention events if time? Amy, off you go.
Yeah, let me just share screen. It was just to say that there's lots of things coming up. Training, which Chris from CACN is organising very well. We've got some meetups coming up. So these are online meetings, they're free to attend. It's kind of by sector, you know, so these Friday meetings are quite wide range and they're for everybody. This is kind of broken down into sector and on an evening. So hopefully most people can make those time slots. So we've got the theatre and spoken word meetup. That one's coming up on the 28th. And then after that, we've got the writers meetup coming up on 4th of March. That one's led by Katie Hale. And then we've got a workshop, which is about how the cultural sector can respond to environmental challenges, which is a big subject, and it's capably led by Harriet Fraser and Rob Fraser of Somewhere Nowhere, who a lot of people will know from this network. So just keep an eye on the events page, and obviously don't forget to keep an eye on the opportunities page, because we've got the Catalyst opportunity and loads of other opportunities. There's artist commissions and jobs, and so yeah, just keep an eye on the website.
Great stuff, Amy. I love that phrase, capably led. I hope I have capably led this call. Don't forget also that there is the big meetup on the 1st of May at Reg Ed. Details to come, but basically stick it in your diary. That'll be free to attend. And we'll probably be looking at something to do with fundraising and how you pull income in from other areas, but also to be confirmed. But 1st of May at Reg Ed in the morning, if you can make it, it should be a good gathering. Normally about 65, 70 people come to those. And nice, it's just really nice to see people in smell-o-vision as well, and actually see people 3D and talk to them in normal ways. Thank you very much to Tom, to Karen, and to Jane and Nigel for this morning's contributions. It's been really, really interesting. Next week, we are going to hear about View from the River, which was this project where 3 women swam the length of the Eden as part of the Fell Foot Forward project. You may have seen it, picking up rubbish as they were swimming and trying to tell the story of how rivers need looking after in the county as well as the country. So we're going to have a little film of that, and 1 or possibly 2 of them talking about that. And also a great new exhibition just opened at the Arnett in Ambleside, running Int Fells, a lovely exhibition all about fell running in Cumbria, which is just opened. So we'll have Faye Morrissey talking to us about that from the Arnett. So that's the plan for next week. Lovely to see you all. Thanks for coming along this morning. Have a great weekend and see you again soon.